Modern, why you love it so much, why it shouldn't be banned. You can make your case for it to stick around if that's what you want to do. I don't think you're really incentivized to do that, though. Here is a turn 1 Neonate leading things off for the Bridgevine deck.
And potentially we just don't see another turn.
That could be it. Here is Champion of the Parish. Neonate's going to hit the bin, bringing Vengevine with it.
Oh, geez.
It's an auspicious start. How quickly can Bridgevine make Champion of the Parish look silly? Is it going to be one of those draws? Let's see what Bridgevine gets up to on the second turn here. See a Bloodghast in hand, some lands. We got it all. It's going to be Godless Shrine, untapped, taking a bit of damage. And just a hard cast Bloodghast. Okay. You could live with that on the human side. That's not so scary.
Oh, you're definitely down for this. The Bridgevine deck always has the potential, right, where it might be just missing that one piece, and then it starts going crazy. But in the interim, you're happy with their slower starts.
So Hobbs is going to go ahead and fire off a Kitesail Freebooter. That's going to miss. Hogak, Gravecrawler, land in hand for Kyle Shull. Does make that Champion of the Parish a little bit bigger. Going to bring the beats is Champion.
Yeah, we're kind of far. It's funny, it can change so quick, but we're far from that Hogak right now. We need another 1-drop or 2-drop to get that Vengevine back.
Altar of Dementia to get up some shenanigans pretty quickly.
Altar is always a problem.
Look at that.
Look at you.
Altar of Dementia off the top. Let's see if that's enough to kick this Bridgevine deck into high gear. Step 1, Altar.
Something, profit.
Right. It's all profit from here, baby. We're going to go ahead and sacrifice that Bloodghast. Oh, there's geez. Another Vengevine. All right. Here comes Bloodghast, back to the party.
So we're really looking for a bridge here.
We're going again, shopping for a few more options. Land. Okay, nothing too exciting. Time to do a little fetching. Next turn, though, those Vengevines are coming back one way or another. Unless Hobbs has something to disrupt. Always possible.
They can come back this turn, right? So we're going to get back our Bloodghast.
Right.
We're going to cast our Gravecrawler.
Right.
And then we can deploy Hogak.
Right.
And yeah.
How many Vengevines do we get to keep? Do we have to lose one?
Nope.
They're both there? Uh-oh.
Yeah, I mean, this is just bonkers.
Yep, this is dumb. This is a dumb turn of Magic.
I mean,
here come those 2 Vengevines. And, the setup is there for the future, too. That's what's messed up, is this battlefield does a bunch of stuff on subsequent turns with no hand whatsoever.
Yeah. What are you going to do? You're going to play Wrath of God against this board?
Right.
It's turn 3. It's 20 points.
20 power on turn 3 on the battlefield, and the engine is still running.
The opponent actually cast a Disruption card, which did nothing.
Right. And Jonathan Hobbs sitting here thinking, why did I register this deck? Am I crazy? I say that. Hobbs is going to look for a way out. Step 1, Noble Hierarch. Step 2, Ancient Ziggurat. Assuming we're going Phantasmal Image. It is Phantasmal Image. That's going to make a Hogak. And this is all well and good, but
maybe it's not.
Shull can go deep into the library if he chooses this turn.
Yeah, he can really get carried away milling himself here. And last turn, it was just a few cards they got to look at, right?
Right.
This turn, it could be most of his deck.
Right, absolutely.
You hit some more Vengevines, you hit some Bridge.
Yeah, it's basically no cost to just start by putting 8 cards in your graveyard, right? Bin those 2 Vengevines. You could bin, and then even the Gravecrawler on top of that, and then you're up to shenanigans, and you just filled up your graveyard.
Sure, he doesn't have another zombie right now for the graveyard, the Gravecrawler recast.
Okay.
But he could get there quick.
Right.
Like I said, one Bridge from below, and it's over.
Yep. Shull considering options here. Meanwhile, over in other matchups, you do see Aldrazitron has taken a game over Mardu Death's Shadow. I could see that being a tough matchup for the Mardu Death Shadow deck.
Yep.
Chalice, really bad news for sure.
It's a pretty good card.
Yep. Looks like it's beatdown time. Everyone's coming.
Yeah, let's attack. You're going to block something? Well, I'll just sacrifice it. Are you going to kill me next turn?
Better.
Better, exactly.
Better. Gonna line up some blocks here. Might temporarily deal with that Hogak.
Yeah, we got the life total straightened out here so that it makes a little more sense. This poor freebooter that didn't even get a card.
It's lived a troubled life, that's for sure.
Just to the slaughter.
How many free creatures can you fit in one deck, asks Hogak. The answer is a lot.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, and I wonder if when something gets banned out of this deck, if it transitions back to other free creatures.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Ooh. Bridge from below Vengevine. Well, given where we're at, not the best time to find a bridge from below, I think. We'll see if maybe Kyle wants to immediately convert that into some resources.
Looks like he's fine just dealing a boatload of damage to his opponent.
Yeah, I could see that.
All right, I'll lose the bridge, sure, but I still have so much going on.
Yeah, we're going to order some triggers here.
No, this is just absurd. We're going to see Hogak back on the board again.
Yeah, this is a silly deck. Very silly deck. Hard to kind of sit across from and really believe in your chances, right? Like when they do things like this, it's like, why didn't I? Why didn't I just Hogak? But there's going to be sideboard games, and Hobbs came prepared. Accounting for this deck 100% for Ixalan Jailer in the sideboard of his humans deck. Very, very good to see from Hobbs. A couple of zombies on the battlefield. We're going to cash in this Bloodghast. Zombie's going to get tapped. Get up to some exiling.
Oh, Ben's
It's Hogak time. Yeah, that's our second creature.
Why not?
And Hobbs still trying to figure a way out of this nightmare scenario. Meanwhile, over in the Bridgevine mirror, Dan McCaulley up a game against Dominic Harvey. Jonathan Hobbs has seen enough. I mean, that was the beatdown, man. That's as bad as it gets sitting across from that Bridgevine deck where they just make everything your deck does feel absolutely silly.
Yeah, and we think that Kyle had the option to go for it on that turn.
Oh, yeah.
Where he could have just started by sacrificing his creatures to his altar and seen if he could mill his opponent out. But his board was so good.
Yep. Why bother?
Yeah, like, even if the fail rate is 5%, like the route that he took, the fail rate is 0%, right? Like the opponent lives another turn, but he's in an even worse spot than he was the turn before.
Absolutely. Yeah, clean sweep there for the team of Shull, Kivett, and McCaulley. We're doing some sideboarding now. We could start over on Jonathan Hobbs' side. He is looking at 4 copies of Ixalan Jailer, 3 Auroch Champion, 2 Gaddock Teague, 2 Deputy of Detention, 2 Phyrexian Revoker, 1 Dismember, and 1 Militia Bugler. Craig, what are you doing here if you're Jonathan Hobbs?
So he can actually bring in a mess of cards here. The question is, if he brings in too much, does it change his humans package?
Right.
Obviously, the Jailers are coming in. Those are just so good. There's an argument to be made for Deputy of Detention, and there's an argument to be made for the Revokers.
Yeah, we'll have to see if he thinks shutting down Altar is that important that he wants to rely on Revoker. I do like Deputy of Detention quite a bit. I think just like the massive size of Hogak, you need some way to answer it. Deputy of Detention does that very well. And, of course, Altar as well.
It scoops up all the zombies.
Yep. Yeah, very nice pickup there. Meanwhile, over on Kyle Shull's side, we are looking at 3 Fatal Push, 2 Thoughtseize, 3 Crypt Breaker, 2 Wear Tear, 3 Wismare, and 2 Ingot Chewer. And here's the hard thing. You have to figure out what you're up against, what you need to beat. But when you're up against humans, you know it's creatures.
Yep.
And that means it's Fatal Push time, right?
Yep, it's definitely Fatal Push time. I wouldn't be super surprised to see these Crypt Breakers in there as well. You get a little grindier. The first, 2-3 turns, You just want to draw some extra cards, find that fatal push, get the jailer off of the board, and then do what you're going to do.
Interesting.
It's possible that's it's kind of funny to say it, but more of an on-the-play type of card.
Okay.
Where you have a little more time to execute that type of game plan. On the draw, a lot of times the humans deck can just really just vomit onto the board and put too much pressure on you.
Right. We'll have to see what style of game they're going to be playing here. Obviously, the Bridgevine deck putting lots and lots of tokens into play. And if you are looking to utilize some new beautiful tokens, why not turn towards our creature collection? There you see Down Undead. I don't get it. Can you explain this one to me? Why is this called Down Undead?
We're going to have to poll the audience on this one.
I usually understand these, and I'll be fair, it takes me a while. Like, I'm very old, very stupid.
So this is literally the first time I've seen this.
Okay.
And like you, this is going to be embarrassing when someone points out what...
There's something obvious here, right, that we're just not understanding. I mean, like, Down Undead, I thought I would see, like, a goose or something, like Goose Down, or... Okay, we're being told this is a reference to Australia.
Okay, it makes a little more sense now.
Because there's a koala on it. Apparently, this is not canon. This is just a guess of our producers. They also believe this is a reference to Australia.
Well, this is on them now.
Yeah, we're absolved of responsibility. We did our best to describe Down Undead. Either way, I think it's cool. I mean, I'm not saying I don't like the art. I'm just saying I don't get it.
I like how you just switched
That's
feet.
where I'm at.
You're like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
But I'm here to sell it to you.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely beautiful. Definitely something I want very badly, even if I don't understand it.
You're a corporate
And I
man.
will be purchasing over at go.starcitygames.com/creature collection. Actually, Craig, if you could go ahead and cast this match, I'm going to be placing my order right now for these playmat sleeves and player bundles, which are all available right now.
Your check's in the mail,
As
sir.
a piece of my soul flies right out of my body. Patrick Sullivan would be so proud right now. Players still doing a little sideboarding here as we head into game 2.
What is this thing? I don't know. You should buy it.
Yeah, Emma Handy just messaged me. She said Down Undead is down under because it's koala fighting zombies. Yep, down under, but zombie koalas. Everyone on my Twitter feed is telling me I'm an idiot, and they get it.
Sure.
I'm glad you were here with me, though, to also not
Listen,
get it.
I am on board to be an idiot at any point.
Cool, that sounds good. This is going to work out well, then. This is a perfect pairing.
And people do like koalas.
Koalas are very cute.
See?
I've heard very bad stories about them, but they're very cute.
Maybe we'll explore some of those stories later.
Well, apparently they're just, like, impossibly stupid and, like... And I love all animals, don't get me wrong. I'm a 100% animal lover, vegetarian, very big on animal rights. And if I saw a koala, I would give it a great big hug. But all the stories I hear about them is that they are just not the brightest animals on the face of the earth.
Good for them. They're just getting by on
They're
their
getting
good
by.
looks.
Yeah, I'm right there with them. I just want to eat some eucalyptus and chill. Wait, koalas are the ones that eat eucalyptus, right?
I think that's right.
Okay. I'm with them. Just want to eat eucalyptus, chill, climb in some trees.
The pandas eat bamboo.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the one I was worried about that I had confused it with. Meanwhile, we're going to play some Magic, which hopefully I can talk about like not an idiot, unlike all of these other things thus far. No guarantees, though.
Yep, either way.
Just going to lead on some lands as we start off. Faithless Looting is the play from Kyle Shull. No one-drop from Jonathan Hobbs. Bet we're dealing with a Yixid Jailer in hand. That's about the only thing that makes sense to have that kind of hand.
Wait, he did mulligan.
Okay.
So I'm sure he was
Desperation
looking
keep,
for
maybe?
a hate card.
Yeah.
But anytime the humans deck doesn't play anything on turn 1, they better have that Jailer on turn 2 in this matchup,
I think so. I think that's the key. And you're seeing a loaded hand here from Kyle Shull. Going to go ahead and pitch Vengevine and Bloodghast with Bridge from Below in hand. Pretty wild. There is Yixlid Jailer, as we expected.
Oh, and it's funny. He does have 1-drops in his hand, but he can't play them.
Oh, an Ancient Ziggurat hand, yeah.
So it looks like he's got 2 Ether Vials. Maybe just 1, but it looks like maybe 2 of them, and he just can't even play them.
Wow, tough opener here from Jonathan Hobbs. No such struggles on the hand of Kyle Shull. And here you see Yixid Jailer shutting down the graveyard, but this is a reasonable battlefield. Like, this isn't so bad to have your 2-1 and your 1-1. When Dredge used to be in these positions, they had to settle for playing their 1-2 flyer on turn 3.
Yep.
This is a very different ball game where you get to play actual 1-drops capable of doing some damage.
Yeah, but earlier in the day, we did see, the Infect deck just with a very mopey game, but the piece of disruption was enough to give them all the time that they needed. And
sure, some draws it's good enough against. Absolutely.
It's possible that this Humans deck is going to start building some momentum, get a couple creatures on the board, and the snowball will start rolling a lot faster.
Well, let's see if Hobbs can put something together here. As you mentioned, the nightmare start, multiple Ether Vials alongside those Ancient Ziggurats. Here's Meddling Mage. Can we find a good name with this card? We'll get you a report on exactly what that's stopping from being cast. I think I saw Hogak written down.
Okay.
It is, in fact, naming Hogak. We have confirmation.
That's a fine name. Fatal Push would also be another good name.
Yeah, but Hobbs needs some way to start dealing damage. This is not going to get the job done long term. At some point, Shull will find answers to these problems. Or just continue deploying more threats and bring the beat down. And here's Bloodghast. Plays the land, passes the turn back to Hobbs. Meanwhile, over in the Mardu Death Shadow versus Eldrazi-Tron matchup, Bertarioni picks up a game, 1-1 apiece.
Okay.
Deck just keeps finding ways to win. I'm sure always in a narrow game, but it's getting the job done. Here's a Cavern of Souls. That's going to name Human. And here's Thalia's Lieutenant.
All right, we're putting together a little race here.
Yeah, a few bodies. Still just a pile of Ether Vials in hand. Yixlid Jailer, not a human, of course.
And Hobbs thinking about, do I want to get frisky, get in here for 5, or do I want to leave this big 3/3 body back to block? Chooses to take a slightly slower route, and I think I agree with that game plan. Another turn or two, one more human, 2 more humans, and he's going to be able to really start pressuring the opponent, and the opponent can't even swing back effectively.
Meanwhile, we have a result for you over in the Bridgevine Mirror. Dan McCaulley takes down Dominic Harvey 2-0. Bridgevine victorious.
See, Bridgevine best deck in the event.
Obviously. It's like it was destiny that Bridgevine would win that match. So Insolent Neonate getting cash in to pitch Bridge from below. Finds another Vengevine. Would love to do some casting of Vengevines. Unfortunately, not in the cards for this Hogak deck.
If you can't block, might as well attack.
Yeah.
Can't even use them to cast Hogak.
Here comes a Gravecrawler. This Anemic Hate kind of getting the job done right now for Hobbs.
Yeah, it's funny looking at this match. I think if Shull was on the play and the opponent was trying to go turn 2 Jailer, which is obviously spectacular in this matchup, it would have
not been good enough.
It would have been pretty ugly.
Yeah, I agree. Looks like the draw was a Meddling Mage for Hobbs. See if Hobbs can put together another strong name to further lock Shull out of this. Can he find the name? I think the best name is Fatal Push, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're working with perfect information. We know what's coming out of these decks.
And we'll see if Hobbs can make that conclusion. It's tough. Really tough call. Here's Meddling Mage. Thalia's Lieutenant going to go ahead and get a counter. He's going to confer with the team and figure out the name here. This is a big decision, and it's one made without a lot of information for Hobbs.
And this is a turn that I like, just getting all of my creatures into the red zone. We look at the life totals. You're going to get in for 7 here, bring your opponent 8. Next turn, you have a lethal attack. There's very few creatures that can block out of the Bridgevine deck.
Absolutely.
So let's just finish this in 2 turns.
Hobbs agrees he's going to shove. The name was Plague Engineer for Hobbs. 0 copies in Shull's deck. You understand where he's coming from.
100%.
A dangerous card. And really just taking a stab in the dark there.
And on Shull's side, we're on Fatal Push or Bust.
Yeah,
and
bust. Bust is the answer. Well, we saw the hand where Bridgevine looked stupid and unbeatable.
Yep.
Like something which should never be allowed. And then we saw a Bridgevine hand which just folded to a single copy of Yixlid Jailer played on turn 2 and did basically nothing the entire game.
But he's back on the play this time.
Yep, Bridgevine retaking the play. Very true. Sounds like we want to shift, though, for our next game that we want to show you. I think we're going to move over to the Bertarioni Kivett matchup. Mardu Death Shadow versus Eldrazi Tron. Because players are about ready to go in that match. And we can get you some action with the quickness. An interesting matchup, too. As I said, I have a feeling Eldrazi Tron likes this matchup quite a bit. Also going to be on the play this game. Very important in Modern in general.
Oh, Modern is such a play format.
These decks, all of these decks which are currently in the feature match area, all love to have the play. Mardu Death Shadow really just doesn't want its opponents to have the play, much less than it wants to play for itself. But that's still exactly the same scenario.
Yep.
We're going to start with a Mishra's Bauble here for Bertarioni. Go ahead and take a look at Jeremy's deck over on Cardboard Live. This has been kind of the new spice here today. We've seen it look admirable, winning some tight, tough games in several situations. I'm not blown away. I'm not over the moon about it, but I respect it. I think it's an interesting choice.
Sure, it has a lot of the most efficient removal in the format. It starts with discard spells on the first turn, and then it has the Dreadhorde Arcanist to just really generate a lot of free advantage that way.
Sure.
So all of that stuff is very appealing. The question is the rest of the deck at a power level to justify playing it?
Yeah, I think that's a very fair question, and we may see that as time goes on.
I was pretty impressed with the being able to rebuy a Ranger Captain for 1 mana.
Yeah.
Get a Death Shadow, and being able to play that bad boy for 1 mana. That's just like a pretty sick turn.
Yeah, Unearth is a real spell. 100% going to be a player in Modern. Also a real spell, Matter Reshaper, played off an Eldrazi Temple on turn 2.
Fake spell.
Kivett getting onto the battlefield quickly. Nothing fake about an Eldrazi.
You're an Eldrazi truther?
They are the realest of threats. I go home and check for Eldrazi in my closet every single night.
A little worried about those guys, huh?
You never know. They showed up on Innistrad. They could really be anywhere. In my closet, here at the convention center. Just be aware at all time. Going to go ahead and cast Thoughtseize here is Bertarioni. I will say, like, just as a macro archetype concern, big mana is my concern for this Death Shadow deck. It doesn't interact with traditional big mana in any way.
Sure.
And previously in the format, that was a death knell for decks. You couldn't come and fold to Tron. You couldn't come and fold to Amulet. You couldn't come and fold to Scapeshift. But I think taking that gamble is safer right now than it's ever been.
100%. If you are a person who is you're looking to buy the Tron cards, now's the time. No one's playing Tron.
Yeah.
It's very hard to bring that to the metagame right now. I don't expect that to always be the case. So if you're looking to pick up Tron cards, do it.
Yeah, we talk all the time about just how cyclical Modern is. Meanwhile, Bertarioni beating himself up, able to deploy a Death Shadow already onto the battlefield. 3 power and toughness, not quite ready to tangle with that Matter Reshaper yet. Here's a pair up for the Matter Reshaper. Additional copies enter the battlefield. And now Kivett needs to make some decisions. And here's that choke point, the pressure point that every Death Shadow player loves to put its opponents in. You got to make a decision.
It's particularly difficult for him here because we know he's got a 5/5 haster in his hand.
Yep.
You know, you want to be attacking with that thing next turn, and it just seems so strange not to attack this turn when you know you want to be beaten in with that thing next turn. But if you grow that Death Shadow much bigger, it's just a removal spell and a block, and you don't even have a board anymore.
Yeah, here's Inquisition of Kozilek. That's going to take Walking Ballista out of Kivett's hand. The last of Kivett's hand, Tron Land, Reality Smasher. Can he leverage those cards into a winning position?
Let's smash him.
Seems like a good idea, doesn't it?
How could it go wrong?
Can't. Smashing always goes well. What does Bertarioni have for a follow-up here? Just going to play Silent Clearing past the turn. Here's the draw from Kivett. All is dust? Look like an all is dust to me.
Kind of far from that one right now.
Yeah, only 5 mana available thus far.
But the Matter Reshapers can help us out in that field.
I'm about 80% on that being an all is dust too, so I don't want to proceed 100% like that's what we're working with. But here comes Reality Smasher, that's for sure.
And same decision as last turn, right? Do I attack? If I attack, how much do I attack for? You know, am I going to get blown out with a removal spell here?
So risky. So risky. At some point, though, you just have to jam, right?
Yeah, I think at a minimum that the Smasher's going to get in there.
Mm-hmm.
I think each of the 3/2s are going to stay back on defense.
Okay. Let's see if Kivett wants to proceed in the same fashion as you do. Looks like we have a response here from Bertarioni.
Lots of gesticulations.
I think he wants to do a little damage to himself via that Silent Clearing, make that a 4/4 Death Shadow.
One of my favorite parts about team events is getting to just ignore the advice of my teammates and do whatever I really want to do.
Beautiful.
Yep.
One of my favorite things is pretending like I'm talking to my teammate about something relevant, but really just saying I have absolutely nothing in my hand, and I need them to believe I have something.
Don't be that person.
And just doing a little whispering, a little pointing. Sometimes we'll do some fake counting on our fingers together. Like I'll have my teammate hold out their hand, and I'll count their fingers too. That way they know I'm real serious about math.
Not a fan.
Gets them every time.
All right, and that path actually brings us a lot closer to the All Is Dust.
Yeah, it does. Sitting on 6 mana right now. Follow-up was Untapped Blood Crypt, falling to 7. Ranger Captain of Eos.
All right.
This card is impressive.
Now, if he's not expecting All Is Dust, he could get blown out.
Let's see. Let's see how hard Bertarioni wants to commit to the battlefield here. Does he hold that second Death Shadow in hand? Does it not matter because he has Unearth, which is also a question I think you have to ask.
Sure. Yeah, with Unearth and the Ranger Captain, you rebuild your board real fast.
Yep. It's in hand for the time being. What's that last card? Is it Unearth?
I don't know.
Haven't really learned to spot the new art on Unearth yet. I don't think so. Comes Death Shadow into the red zone.
Yeah, and Richard has to consider, like, hey, if I get a little bit lucky, I peel a land here, I get to cast this spell and just kill my opponent.
Yeah, sounds pretty good.
But on the flip side, I really don't want to take any extra shots from this Death Shadow.
I think I take this damage. The odds of just, like, winning the game on the spot are too high.
Sure.
You're just eating 6 here. Or, excuse me, 7.
Kind of have a 1 in 3 shot thereabout.
Yeah.
Maybe it's 1 in 4 right now, depending on the makeup of the deck. But, that kind of a range.
And we're jamming. It's Death Shadow time. Pressure's on Kivett now. Can he find a land off the top of his deck? Here's the draw. It's a Walking Ballista? Question mark?
I am Ron Burgundy.
Walking Ballista is an interesting one. I don't hate it.
Yeah, it's funny because you don't hate it, but you don't love it either.
Right.
It's just like, does this really do that much? It doesn't get the opponent to 3, which is kind of where we want them. Yeah. Although it does give you the ability to block with one of your Matter Reshapers here.
Bertarioni found a Street Wraith, it looks like. Gonna go ahead and cash in that Silent Clearing. Takes a draw. Fatal Push.
Oof.
Woo, we got a stew going, baby. How is Bertarioni going to proceed on this turn. Couple of real nice draws there.
So the Street Wraith brings him to 4. He's got a couple of 9/9s. 9, 10, 11, 12. You know, the question is how his opponent blocks here. If he just chump blocks one of the Street Wraiths, he's still not quite there to being able to grow. Only blocks one of the Death Shadow. He can't grow the other Death Shadow quite enough to finish off the opponent.
No, exactly right. Here's another silent clearing. Looks like we're going to take another draw. Fetch land. Here's Fatal Push.
We're pushing that one.
Time for a think. Think and confer.
So this actually works. If he pings his opponent twice, he brings him to 4.
Mm-hmm.
If he only blocks one of the Death Shadows, he can cycle the Street Wraith going to 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the Death Shadow and the Ranger Captain is lethal.
Looks like those pings did go the way.
I like
Bertarioni.
this. That was a kind of a crazy, unintuitive Fatal Push there. I think generally you would think you'd go after one of the other guys. Oh, he's not going to get... Oh, why are we doing this?
Walking Ballista goes to hand from that Matter Reshaper. Can't quite make out the draw.
So we're really giving Richard a lot of redraws here. Obviously, Jeremy doesn't know that he's facing down the teeth of all his dust. But to me, he had to make a double chump block there or just win the game. Like, are you going to play in fear of a Reality Smasher for the rest of this game?
Well, that seems to be the determination Bertarioni has made here. Not forcing double chump blocks. Here's Walking Ballista, passes the turn back. Here's the draw step. It's another Ranger Captain. The gas never ends for Mardu Death Shadow. It's time for more beatdowns. Someone says, hold on.
The teammate, wait, what are we doing here?
Someone flew in from left field on that attack to back us up, demanding a little bit more thinking. It is just going to be the 2 Death Shadows attacking.
They keep getting bigger.
Both are blocked. More Reality Smasher triggers. There's wastes. Well, that changes this next turn quite a bit. How hard is Bertarioni going to go onto the battlefield? Has to be at least contemplating all his dust. You have to believe.
Sure.
Here's Ranger Captain.
He might not be aware of it at all. You're at 2. If you're worried about Reality Smasher.
Also, there's the question, does he cash in a Ranger Captain?
Well, that's what I was wondering. I think with the other Death Shadow on the board here.
You can just do that pretty safely.
Yeah, he's got enough defense back to not worry about a lot of cards.
Yeah, I assume that's what we're going to deal with in upkeep. I would expect Ranger Captain to hit the bin, and that might be the death knell for Kivett.
Yeah, I mean, Kivett could still peel the last Walking Ballista out of his deck.
Is going to cash in.
I like it.
That Ranger Captain. What's the draw? That is going to get the handshake.
Yeah, yep.
And we're going to head to a deciding Game 3 between Jonathan Hobbs and Kyle Shull. I think there were a lot of interesting decisions to be made throughout that game. I don't know that I would have made them the exact same way, but I understand why Bertarioni was taking that line, playing things very safely, very slow. Could have been punished for it. Was not, though.
Sure.
Things worked out quite well for the Mardu Death Shadow player, and taking down what I would have believed to be a bad matchup, with the caveat that I just don't know the matchups for this Mardu Death Shadow deck.
Yeah,
I'm figuring it out as we go along.
It's still a newer deck. It doesn't play out quite the same as the other Mardu Death Shadow decks that we've seen. To me, it seems almost more controlling in the first couple of turns, and then it really depends on that Ranger Captain, Death Shadow, quote, combo to find the threats to close out the game later. I
think you're spot on, and I think they've taken a unique approach to removal that's really benefiting them with the 4 Path to Exile approach.
Yep, I think that's just the premium removal spell in the format right now.
It's funny, the Azorius Control decks have had a good run of things lately. Azorius Control is a deck I like, positioning-wise, but I do think it has some like overall metagame flaws. I think there's things it can just never do very well. But it was able to leverage the power of Rest in Peace and Path to Exile to very good results recently, where it started to look like a top-tier deck again.
You know, it's a deck that has access to just so many good cards. You can craft it in such a way that, like you're saying, you can play the main deck Rest in Peace if you want to and just cut the Snapcaster Mages. We've already talked about Force of Negation and how it's potentially a very good add to the format. It's always close. Sometimes it's one of the better decks in the format, but that's when we just see the Tron decks just come out of the woodwork and prey on it, right?
Sure. Well, now maybe there's another flag bearer for the Path to Exile decks. It could be this Mardu Death Shadow list, but it's not what we're dealing with now. We're dealing with Bridgevine shenanigans. There was a turn 1 Faithless Looting. It put a Vengevine and a Gravecrawler into the bin. It followed up with a Carrion Feeder. Gravecrawler came back from the bin, and Vengevine is attacking. We have put 7 power onto the battlefield on turn 2 pretty easily.
And you can't even Reflector Mage this board.
No.
What are you going to Reflector Mage here?
That's not going to go great for you.
The Carrion Feeder? Like, either of the other cards just end up in the graveyard.
Here's a Phyrexian Revoker. Is the name just going to be Carrion Feeder? It is. That is the name.
And I don't think you care about that.
Especially now when that Fatal Push is sitting in hand, you really don't care about it. So, only 1 land for Jonathan Hobbs. Sometimes that can be a good thing, but...
Well, so the greediest play is to get the Phyrexian Revoker. I think a slightly safer play is to get the Hierarch.
Yeah. Merits consideration. Shull going to pass on that play, though. Pitching Gravecrawler, Bridge from below. Nice life.
Yep.
7 points of damage headed Hobbs' way. Hobbs going to fall to just 9.
It's just lots of clean living right here.
Yeah, counter on Carrion Feeder. Here comes a zombie token. Oh, boy. It's one of those games again.
Yep, and at the end of the turn, the Vengevine can get cashed in.
Yep.
Make another zombie, grow
Bring
the Carrion Feeder.
Gravecrawlers.
And, yeah, double Gravecrawler brings the Vengevine back. And
oh, boy.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Shull wants to see exactly what's going on Hobbs' side before committing to that line of play.
Yep.
I want to see what's going on Hobbs' side because it feels like he's already in need of a miracle, quite frankly.
This is not it.
No, I have a hard time believing Meddling Mage gets the job done.
Well, I mean, it can shut down those Gravecrawlers out of the graveyard.
That is what was named, Gravecrawler.
But you're in a situation where you need to start trading with your opponent's things.
Yep.
And then the Gravecrawlers are online again, right? Like, it's just...
Fatal Push in hand.
Oh, no, yeah.
I think we just have lethal here.
Yep.
Just Fatal Push, cast Gravecrawler, sack it to the Carrion Feeder. And that's all she wrote.
Yep.
That is going to get a handshake from Jonathan Hobbs. And our last undefeated team, 8-0, Dan McCaulley, Kyle Shull, and Richard Kivett. As we said, kind of unknowns here on the SCG Tour. You notice what carried the day there for the team.